sharing with you his 5 tips for growing his YouTube channel into a full-blown business. Well, Ben, I am so excited that you are finally on our podcast. We've known each other now for 2.5 years because you've been a part of our programs and in our community. And I'm just so pumped that you get to share your story with the Think community and all the things that you're doing. And today we're talking about how you turned your YouTube channel into a business. Tell me a little bit, Ben, about your YouTube channel.
Yeah, Heather, thank you for having me. Love Think Media, love what you guys are doing. And it's just a matter of time before I came to Vegas to hang out with you. So yeah, I mean, my company's Keto Camp. We're a global brand. The mission at Keto Camp is to educate and to inspire 1 billion people, to help them wake up and understand how amazing their body is. It's capable of healing. So we do that through YouTube. And of course, I've learned that from you and Sean and the whole team. 2.5 years ago, actually going on 3 years, is when we launched our YouTube channel. And we're focusing on educating primarily on ketosis and intermittent fasting, but we're niched into the ketogenic lifestyle. And as you know, it's pretty much niche, and a lot of people know about keto. So that's what we're doing. The company's called Keto Camp, and that's our mission.
I am so excited. I am a binge watcher. I watch so much of your stuff, and I'm excited because you came to YouTube and you didn't quite have a business yet. This was really the entry point into this empire that you're building. I'm calling it an empire, just so you know.
Yeah, I'll take it.
The empire that you're building at Keto Camp. So walk me through what that journey looked like for you. When you came to YouTube, what did you have ready, and how did you know what videos you even wanted to make?
So when I launched the YouTube channel, I was clear on what I wanted to talk about, which was keto. So I was clear on the niche. And then I just recorded 10 videos on the topic that I was getting questions about when it came to keto. Recorded 10 videos and just dripped those videos out, 2 videos per week. Now, in the beginning, the growth was very, very slow. I remember the first 6 months into it, I remember the exact number. I had 342 subscribers.
Wow.
6 months into it, which is great because that's 342 people who wanted to learn more, but I had bigger goals than that. So I remember at this time being a little frustrated, having bigger goals than that. And I just said, I committed to posting 2 times a week. I'm going to keep this up. I'm not interested in doing this. I'm actually committed. So I just kept doing 2 videos a week, 2 videos a week. And all of a sudden, a video that I did called 5 Keto Fruits You Can Eat All the Time just started to take off. It went from like 10,000. I kept refreshing all day. 25,000. All of a sudden, it passed 1 million downloads in a couple of weeks. So after I saw that, I just started to double down with my content, and then the channel just started to take off.
So awesome. Now, I want to get into, you brought 5 tips and really your strategy of how you've built your business around your YouTube channel. But I need to ask, what did you start with? Did you start with an iPhone? Did you start with a camera? What did you start with when you started making videos?
I started with the old Canon 6D camera. Okay. Yeah, which I had a camera from 6 years ago. So I started with that and a lavalier mic. Yeah.
Nice. And so it was something you already had.
I already had it, and I had that camera for 5 years.
I love it. So this is the thing. You got to just start with what you have. It's not about going out and getting all the cool fancy gear. It's just starting to make videos. And I love that you did that and that you made it super simple and easy to do. Well, let's break down your 5, I would say kind of your path to building your business on YouTube. Number 1 is you had a freemium. Here at Think Media, we call that a freemium, which just means something free to gift to your viewers. What was the freemium and how did you get it going? What did that look like for you?
So I had the freemium done before I even launched the channel because I knew I wanted to promote it. It was called, and it is called, the Keto Kickstart Guide. So I bought the domain ketokickstart.guide.com, pointed it to the landing page.
Smart.
And I created a 12-page ebook that just broke down the basics to keto, just like the 101 on keto, with the goal of them wanting to learn more and then getting them somewhere else. So I had a 12-page ebook, and I started to just share that on my videos, put it on the description of the videos, and just share it all over the place to build my email list.
That's awesome. And that was number 2. You started to build your email list. And really, we teach this, especially here on the podcast, that the influence that you have online is not actually yours. I mean, when you think about it, your subscriber count is just a count that actually YouTube owns. But when you build your email list, that's actually when you go deeper. That's when you can have a one-on-one conversation with people that are interested in what you're doing. So talk about how you were able to build that email list. So you had the freemium. What did that look like? Was that consistently in every video? Was that emailing them every week? What did that look like for you when you quote unquote build your email list?
So when they first opted in for the free ebook, they would give me their first name and their email. they would get automatically sent the PDF download with a sequence of emails. So I'd have 3 emails that were sent out. Hey, this is Ben. Thank you so much for getting the guide. And then I would ask them a question at the end of the email and saying, stay tuned because tomorrow I'll give you the answer to this question. So kind of like a loop to make them want to open the next email. So I had a trigger of 3 emails going out, and every single day I would open or have this open loop at the end of it. On that third email, I'll say, hey, I'm now going to put you into my main list. Expect to get 2 to 3 emails per week. Put this in your safe senders, etc. And then I would just deliver value every week. Just a lot of free value, consistent value, and just developing this relationship with them.
So good. Now, the first question that comes to mind, and maybe listeners are thinking this, is, well, how did you even know what to put in the emails? I mean, did you come from a copywriting background? Like, how did you know what the email should be about?
Well, I look at what you guys are doing with Think Media,
Okay.
and I model you guys, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I also read the book Story Brand as well, which I know you guys recommend. Something else I did, by the way, was take them off of YouTube to my email list, and then from my email list back to YouTube by putting a video in the actual email. So that's a fun way to get more views on YouTube. Yeah.
No, that's really smart. We do that a lot. We do like 1 video a week that's just kind of the what's happening at Think Media. Because if people are willing to come off of YouTube, they're willing to definitely go back if you have more value to offer. So you had something free. Where were you setting all this up? Was this on different websites? Are you in Kajabi? Where were you having everything live? Where does it live?
In the beginning, it was Lead Pages.
Okay.
Just because I started with them, and then I got familiar with ClickFunnels, and then I went to ClickFunnels, and then now it's on Kajabi. So most of it's on Kajabi.
And you're running your email through Kajabi as well? Everything through Kajabi?
Combination of Kajabi and MailChimp right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Way cool.
I'm kind of all over the place with the platforms.
I feel you. We, here at Think Media, what we use right now is Kajabi.
Yeah.
But we're also experimenting with other platforms because we know that it may not be right for everyone. So there's a lot of different platforms that we're experimenting with different programs so that we can see what that looks like. But you have to pick a platform, right?
Yes.
You have to pick somewhere that you want to host all of these pieces. So number 3 that you did. So first, you had something to offer them. 2, you built your email list. And 3, you delivered value on your email list. We talked about this a little bit, but one piece that you said that was really important was the consistency. Talk about that actually just in quote unquote real life. How did you stay consistent on doing that and making videos in real life?
Consistency is king and queen and everything in between. I mean,
wow, that was really good. Can we quote that? It's king, queen, and everything in between. Underline Ben Azadi.
I really believe frequency creates the genius. Look, when I started recording videos, I sucked. And it was very uncomfortable looking into a camera. There's no eyeballs looking at me right now. It's just a camera. It's a weird situation. I remember doing live streams. I would see like 1 person watching, 2 people watching, and then 0 people watching. And it's just very uncomfortable. But you do it enough times, and you become more confident. It's exactly what you guys teach. The frequency creates that genius. I just kept showing up. Again, I was not interested. I was committed. I threw my hat over the fence. I had to go get that hat. So I think that's important to understand because a lot of people are interested in building their business. They're interested in building their YouTube channel, but we want to be committed. And when you're committed, it means you do whatever it takes and you just keep showing up. So I did that on my email list. I did it with my videos, and I learned that from you, of course, and Sean and the whole team. And you guys show up all the time. And it's inspirational to me.
Wow. Well, Ben, you can be on the podcast anytime because this flattery is amazing. So I want to talk about it, though, from the perspective of, I'm thinking about the person listening to this podcast right now, and they're going through life. Maybe they've got a family they're trying to provide for in another career. Maybe they have kids at home, and they're just trying to figure out, like, how do I stay consistent? And I know you said, it's throwing the hat over and having to get it, but talk through that like logically for me in the mindset that you have to have, because there's days you don't want to get up and do it. There's days that no one opened the email, so what does that look like for you when you're in those moments?
Great question. And I know somebody's
things that you look back on and you're like, I just couldn't figure it out. And then I did, and I'm just going to keep at it and keep at it and keep at it. And that consistency over time, doing half of it right is what actually leads to success.
Oh, so true. It's just about getting 1% better each day and figuring out what's important to you. My favorite definition of success came from Earl Nightingale. He said, success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal, right?
Wow. Say that one more time.
Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. An ideal is an idea that you have fallen in love with. Getting 1 million subscribers, getting a gold plaque, becoming the best mom for your children. I mean, whatever that idea is. So success is the progressive realization, meaning this is your goal that you want to hit. This is where you are. As long as you're closing the gap, you're successful. The minute you stop is that you perceive it as failure, but it's really feedback telling you to pivot. So find something that is ideal, your goal that you're in love with, and just keep progressing towards it.
Wow, that is really good. And I'm going to write that one in my journal because that's a really good one. Okay, so you had something free. You built an email list. You provided value to that email list consistently over years, right? I mean, it wasn't like you did it once or twice. It was consistently over time. Then you provided a free value class. We teach this here at Think Media, that you want to provide something that's even better, right? Something that's going to help lead them to the next step. How did you get to that point? So when did you decide, okay, I'm going to do a free class? At what time? Was that like 6 months in, 3 years in? What did that look like for you?
I started doing it about a year into it, very consistently. So I would do like a keto diet masterclass or intermittent fasting masterclass where it would be like an hour and a half. So it's kind of longer than a usual one. I think you guys do like an hour and a half too. Or?
Well, I do 45 minutes. Sean does an hour and a half.
So you're the concise
I'm
one.
within time frames.
I'm like Sean, where I'm like very long-winded. So I would do like an hour and a half masterclass, and I would just share my story for those who are not familiar with my story, give them all this amazing information, kind of like a fire hose sort of deal. And then I would say, if you want more of a step-by-step system of my coaching, like here's a one-time offer, and give them a whole bunch of benefits to signing up. And that's where I got a lot of my members to my academy.
So good. Now, when you were doing that free class, you were also then still doing emails, still doing videos, right? So it's like every piece of this is just another piece. I look at it as like Legos. My kids love Legos. We should invest in Legos. We have so many of them. But it is that piece, right? It's one piece on top of the next piece on top of the next piece. So it's not like you just jumped into making a free class, but that actually, we're going to get into number 5, is what led to the success you're having, right?
Yeah, exactly. So the whole progression of it, like you said, it wasn't doing all this at once. And I know it could sound overwhelming. It's just, you do one thing, get really good at that, and then you'll stack that habit, right? Like the Tiny Habits book. Yeah. So that led to my Keto Camp Academy. Just like you have your Video Ranking Academy, which I've been a member of for 2.5 years, and Inner Circle, Think Media Inner Circle, which has changed my life. I have my own Keto Camp Academy where I offer the step-by-step system. I charge $97 per month. And they also get group coaching with me. And that is where most of my income comes from. And I am able to take people, really help them get off of their medication, their insulin, help them reverse diabetes. But it's all because of the structure that I put into place. So that's where it all leads to, that academy for me. Yeah.
So then building the business around your YouTube channel was offering something to sell. We say you've got to have a buy button, and you chose. And in one of our trainings, we teach about the money plan, which means you've got to just figure out what is the plan to the revenue stream, right? How are you going to make money in your business? And the plan that you chose was group coaching and a monthly membership, right? How did you decide that was the path that you wanted to go down? And then how did you, so at the end of your web class, you're offering it. Are you offering it on your YouTube channel as well? Or do they only hear about it behind your web class?
They might hear about it on my YouTube channel. If I'm doing a live stream and somebody's asking me for my coaching services, I would mention it, but I don't typically sell it on my YouTube channel. I'll sprinkle it in there, but not necessarily. It's very uncommon. On the web class, for sure, I want to get everybody on there. I used to do one-on-one coaching, and as you know, it's not scalable. I mean, it's great. You could work with somebody one-on-one. It's intimate, but there's only so many people you could help before your bandwidth is just spread out. So I wanted to do something in a group setting and have a system in place like you do with your 7R system with keto and fasting. So that's where the academy was built out, which offers group coaching with it. So it's kind of a 1-2 package.
That's really smart. Now, are you, you're also an author. You have a new book that just came out. Tell everyone about that book.
The book is called Keto Flex, 311 pages of keto gold, I call it. Hit number 1 on Amazon. The endorsements for them are incredible. And by the way, I wrote the book with getting people into my academy in mind, which is something that I know you're doing as well.
Yep.
So I wrote the book, and I would sprinkle in inspirational stories from members and then tell them, hey, if you want to learn more, go to ketocampacademy.com. So the book, this is my fourth book, but my biggest book to date. Yeah.
So awesome. And I wanted to mention that because it's not like you created an academy and did a book and did all the things. And I think people don't understand that you've been at this now for over 3 years, right? at 3-year mark or about around the 3-year
With the
mark?
YouTube channel, over 3 years, but in the health space, 11, 12 years.
11 and 12
Yeah.
years. So the patience to make all this happen, talk me through that process. The patience of having to go one step at a time, one foot in front of the other. What's that been like?
I don't really like the word patience.
Oh, okay. What word do you like? Or how do you frame it?
I think it's important to
Yeah.
have patience.
Yeah.
I just don't like it. I can't accept it.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. It's really my issue. Well, understanding that it's gonna suck sometimes, right? And I do have a formula for success that I always share. When you start to change, first of all, you become a threat to people in your life who are not changing. It points a mirror to what they're not doing. So they're gonna say things to you. Why do you want to have that YouTube channel? Why do you want to write that book? Like, who do you think you are? Like, why do you need that fancy car? So they're going to say these things because it's easier for them to drag you down versus pull them up. And your environment is so important. To give you a really quick example of how important your environment is, I don't think you know about this, but they did a study on hundreds of fleas, right? They put fleas in a jar, and they imagine this jar, closing these fleas in, and they left them there for 3 days.
Wow.
After 3 days, they removed the jar, and the fleas were still flying in the same pattern. None of them escaped because their environment kind of shaped their thinking. They thought they couldn't escape. Not only that, the fleas had offspring, and their offspring flew in the same pattern. None of them escaped in that same little pattern.
Wow.
So our environment is important. So when you start to change, you become a threat to people in your life who don't change. But also, it's going to suck sometimes when you have to cut ties with some people and go on camera and feel uncomfortable. But the formula is this: suck, success.
Yeah.
Okay, embrace the suck, keep pushing forward. Failure is just something that is perceived that is really something of a learning opportunity. So if you just look at it that way and never give up, you'll never really fail.
I love that. And again, let's take it back to what you said at the beginning. It's about figuring out what your higher calling is. What's your why?
Yeah.
Why are you even doing this? Because every day when you have to get up and you don't have to. I truly view YouTube as a gift. I mean, it's a free thing that if I just show up, I can impact people on the other side of their screen. So to me, it's not like, oh, I have to get up, I have to make videos. Right. I think the language that we use on those things is so important. And so we get to do this. You get to make this amazing business and impact, what do you want? 1 billion people?
1 billion people.
Yeah.
Educate and inspire.
Yeah, educate and inspire. Well, my final question is for someone right now who may be at the very beginning of this process and they clicked on this video or they saw this podcast title and they were like, oh, wow, turn your YouTube channel into a business. And they're brand new to this. And they just heard these steps that you went through. And now they're like, oh, wow, that's like work. That's going to be work. Or I don't know the next step. I'm not sure where I should go. What is some advice you have for that person? I remember early Heather, where I was listening to Amy Porterfield and listening to Chalene Johnson. And I'm like, what is an email list? I don't even know what that is. What advice do you have for that person that's at the very beginning of this process?
Yeah, great question. I would say to find somebody who's doing what you want to do and either pay them to teach it to you or get their free resources that are available, right? So for me, it was Think Media, right? I enrolled into your courses and you take decades of learning and turn that into days. So that's one option. Number two is that either you think you can do it or you think you cannot do it. Either way, that you're right. And we don't get what we want in life necessarily. We get what we are. And what we are the 60,000 thoughts that we think every single day. So if you change the way you look at things, you start to change the way, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So instead of seeing this as, like you said, I have to do this, it's I get to do this. And getting clear on your why, writing it down, why it's important for you to launch that channel, all the people you're going to help. And share that with friends as if you already have accomplished that. Like you're super excited. Write it in the present tense. Keep it in front of you. Change your environment. Change your thoughts. And it's just sooner rather than later, you're going to change your life.
I love that so much. And that to me has been the testimony of how we've built Think Media and really where we're headed to next is really just looking at what we're here to do. And I can't wait to see what happens to your business. Where can people go if they want to know more about Keto? They want to follow you. What does that look like?
Yeah, and thank you for having me here. I just love what you guys are doing. Keto Camp on YouTube. Camp is spelled with a K, so Keto Camp with a K. We have our Keto Camp podcast. We just passed 1 million downloads on there.
Wow, congratulations.
111, thank you. 111 countries. Like all that came from YouTube, by the way, because I didn't launch the podcast until YouTube got some traction, and it made the podcast grow much faster. So Keto Camp podcast, and then my website's benazati.com.
Awesome. And we'll link all of the resources that we talked about. We mentioned a couple books as well as our academy. We'll have all of that in the show notes down below. So make sure you click there if you want to go further.